Hello and welcome to Rosberry Crafts, my YouTube channel where I share all my crafty adventures. Today is February 3rd, 2023, and this is episode 47. My name is Roz and I live in Lake Country, British Columbia, Canada, with my husband and my two kids who are 12 and 11. I would like to say thank you very much to all you returning subscribers and welcome to all you new subscribers. If you like this little corner of the internet, please feel free to subscribe down below as well as like this video. I really enjoy commenting and chit-chatting with you all in the comments, or you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, both as Rosberry Crafts. Today for you, I have What Am I Wearing, Finished Objects, Works in Progress, Stash, and Events, and some chatter. Let's get started, shall we? What am I wearing? Today I am wearing a shawl that I have turned kind of into a cowl. So this is the Grain Shawl by Tin Can Knits. I knit this shawl in 2017 and I just found that the ends were not long enough to really wrap around and stay on. They just kept on slipping off. So what I actually did was I took this here and, oh, it's all tucked in funny. I'm gonna fix that. Hold on. I don't need shoulder pads. Extra fabric. There we go. So now that's better. I just literally sewed it down underneath and then I just slip it on over my head like a cowl, but it gets the shawl look without it falling off all the time. So it does have on the back there the kind of center stripe, but I like the look. Oh, and now I've bumped the mic. I like the look of kind of the one tail hanging over the shoulder and you know, keeps my neck warm on a cold day like today. It actually wasn't that cold outside. Do we need the weather update? I don't think so. Oh man. It has been a day. It is Friday. It is very dark outside now. It's late in the day. I did record some of this earlier today and I just couldn't get through it without the ahs and the ums and all the, you know, craziness. So we are trying again from the top. So that is what I'm wearing. This yarn is a Caron Big Cake in the color Shadowberry. As you can see, it is very much my colors with the blues and the grays, and I enjoy wearing this. I don't wear it often enough. I do find it's quite bulky, so it's not my favorite, but it is fun to wear every once in a while. I've got a nice gray shirt on, so it matches. It's good. Moving on to finished objects. My first finished object for today is, drum roll, ta-da! This is my colorful geometry loop by Petra Makova Kliflora. That's what I'm going with. I will link to this pattern down below along with everything else that I talk about in this episode. So this cowl is knit on the bias and you start at this purple section and provisionally cast on, and then you work through 24 different repeats. So we go into some blues and greens and then some yellows and oranges and all the way back down to the red. And then you take that provisional cast on and you're supposed to graft it. I did not graft it. I did a 3-needle bind off. It is a little tight. I should have gone up a needle size. I was just so excited to have it done. I just wanted it done. I didn't feel like dealing with the grafting, but it turned out okay. It's a little, like, that section is a little tight compared to the other sections that are quite stretchy, but I think it's okay. It did block out to the same width. It's not pulling in a ton, so it does work out great. So far, I have worn this a ton. You can kind of style it based on the outfit you're wearing. So if you wanted more of the blues and purples showing, you would wear it this way, or you could have more of the pinks and reds showing. It's very versatile, and I'm loving the rainbow effect, and it pretty much goes with everything. So the yarn that I used for this is the Ginger Snap That Advent from 2021. And yeah, it's a beautiful yarn. It's a fingering weight yarn. It's got some plumpness to it for sure. I believe it's a 4-ply. And yeah, it is beautiful, beautiful colors. I am happy to have an Advent yarn project off the needles. So that is it for that. Along with that, now where did it go? Oh, there it is. If you've watched previous episodes, you know that I'm knitting a hat along in these same colors. Once I finished the color in the cowl, I added it to my hat, and I have finished that as well. So this is the Home for the Holidays hat from Carla Ray. I did a double brimmed cowl with some gray I just had in my leftover bin, and then you hold two colors together so you don't get as stark of a contrast as you do in the cowl, but you do definitely get, you know, sections of the colors, and I think it worked up beautifully. What else do I want to say about it? It's a little small on my head. I have a large head, so I would definitely cast on more stitches next time if I was going to make this pattern for me, but it fits Taylor perfectly. I can get it on my head. Let's do this, shall we? There. So it does fit. Just it's a little snug. If I wore it for a while, you might get a headache or something, but luckily my daughter's head is a little bit smaller than mine and she loves it. So, woo. Let's fix that. Leaving my hair curly today, guys, so you get what you get. But yeah, that is it for that. So that's 2 projects off the needles, Advent yarn somewhat taken care of. I have wound up the rest of my Advent yarn and caked it. So I think I put about, well, depends on 6 to 8 colors in each, kind of, some are bigger, some are smaller, but I have caked it all up so it is ready to be used. And just did a slip knot between each color so I can pop them apart if I don't want to use the whole thing. But yeah, I have some plans. I have some thoughts about what I might do with that. And Taylor was definitely interested in some of those things. A rainbow is kind of her thing. So my last finished object for today, I made more scrunchies and I gifted them to a family friend of ours. And for their 2 girls, and I hope that they like them. This is the Perfectly Ruffled Scrunchies by Miranda Dizen. I don't know. It's here, guys. I apologize for my mispronunciation of names. The yarn is Bernat Baby Velvet in the pale gray and teeny teal. I think it's more of a mint color, but that's what it's called. So there we go. These work up super fast. You just do them around a hair elastic and then do another round, and Bob's your uncle. You have some cool scrunchies. These girls both have long hair, so it's always a good idea to have more scrunchies in your life. Moving on to works in progress. My first work in progress is my amethyst shawl. I have made some progress on this, and I remembered to finish a row last night so that I was able to show you guys a bit more evenly, flatly. It is a triangle shaped shawl, and unlike the one that I'm currently wearing, it is an elongated triangle. So you can see the depth of the triangle is much less than the width of the triangle will be, and this will give you nice long ends to hang down and be able to stay on you without too much futzing. So this is working up beautifully. This is Amethyst Triangle Shawl by Undeniable Glitter, who is Alyssa. And I am loving this pattern. It's mindless enough that you can just work on it, but also you can just you know, there is the eyelet row, so you get some interest and some mindless, and it's good TV knitting for me. The yarn that I'm using for that one is Knit Pick Stroll in their hand-painted colors, and the colorway is Pansy Tonal. So it definitely tonal lights and darks with those purples. Definitely, I could totally see that being a pansy color, the little flowers, they're squarish flowers. Love it, but purple is good for me. It's one of my favorite colors. Moving on to another purple project. Are you sensing a theme? Right, this is my Hinterland. Yes, I have picked it back up. So this was all, the color work was all done a long time ago. This pattern is Hinterland by Jennifer Steinglass. And I finished the color work a while ago. And I've split for sleeves. I just in the round and round and round part. So the last time that I mentioned this project to you, I put in a stitch marker so I could show you my progress. So this gold stitch marker is where I finished last time, and I have done all of that progress. So this is a light fingering weight yarn, so this will be a very light sweater, but it is 100% wool, so that is good. The yarn is Cascade 220 fingering, and the colors are Deep Plum and Buff. I think that's all I have to say about that. I am just working away on it. Oh, that's not all I have to say. This is how much yarn I have left on my current skein. So I'm going to finish knitting this, and then I am going to pick up the sleeves and work the sleeves before the sweater gets too much bigger. Hopefully I will have a long enough cord to be able to do the sleeves 2 at a time. Otherwise I'll have to use my other matching method to make sure that I get the sleeves decreased evenly. And there is a bit of color work at the bottom of the sleeves for the cuff before the cuffs. So I'll have to do that too. But yeah, I'm ready to go on that. Looking forward to Sleeve Island, as they call it. Next up, I have another shawl pattern. I haven't done very much on this, but I did do a few rows, so I'm counting it. This is my Stormborn shawl. This is a pattern by Kirsten Aschbaugh Helmrich. That's a mouthful. So these are supposed to look like dragon scales-ish. But this yarn is super sparkly, so it's blowing out on the camera a little bit, but I mean, it is pretty sparkly in real life too. This yarn is Fireweed Fiber Co. in the Sparkling Sock, and yes, it is sparkling. And this was a one of a kind. There's 2 skeins, yeah, as soon as I saw it, I knew that it had to be this shawl. It's just lovely. It is a little busy for the pattern, but I think once you get a bit bigger, then you will see more of that. Also, when I wear it, I will know what it is. So that is gotten a little bit of work. That is not complicated. It is charted. So it's not the kind of thing I work on when I'm watching TV. It's more of a thing when I'm kind of focused on it by itself, sitting quietly, doing my thing without too much distraction. And the last thing that I'm working on is I started another hat. It's always great to have a hat on the needles. And there it is. That's all I've got so far. This is the Musselburgh pattern by Ysolda Teague. I have knit a few of these already. I have it a magic loop, which is why there's so much cabling, but this is a beautiful yarn. This is leftovers from something. I think I made wristers. I can't remember what it is. Maybe it's Color Adventure. I don't know. I have decided that I would like to use up some of my leftover yarn. So none of this is in stash yarn. This is all just little bits of balls. You know, it might be just 1 round or it might be 1 inch on the hat, but that is how that's going to go. And so I've sorted out all of my worsted weight in here, and I'm just going to pick out all the blues and kind of kind of color group things together to make a hat and just see where we get to. I might do like half the hat one color grouping and half the hat another color grouping, like an opposite color grouping, so you get like a fun brim on a hat. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm just playing it by ear, letting it flow as it goes, and figuring out. And that I have also in this other basket. It's harder to show without tipping the whole thing. These are all my fingering weight scraps, and I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do it yet, whether I'm going to hold them double or single, but I'm going to do a Musselburgh out of those too. So the great thing about the Musselburgh pattern is that basically you cast on at the crown of the hat and work until you can measure an inch. And then once you know what your gauge is, then you decide how big you want the hat to be. So it tells you how many stitches for this size, and then you work down the hat, and then you tuck the other end in. So it is a double thick hat, and it works great. It's an awesome pattern for just kind of using up stuff that you have. Once you get the increases, it's just a bunch of round and round knitting. And because you take half and stuff it inside, as long as you've woven in your ends enough, you don't have to worry about like extra ends floating around because it's inside the knitting, and you are good to go. Clearly, I'm still having an issue with all my ahs and ums, but we are going to press on. So that is it for works in progress, and we will move on to stash. For stash today, the only thing that I have is my Fireweed Fiber Co. monthly sock club. So if you have not seen February's, or if you've not received February's sock club in the mail yet, skip to the next section. Okay, there's your warning. Spoiler alert. I do put chapters in my videos so that you can skip sections if you're not interested in what I get for stash, or if you're not interested in the works in progress, and you can just skip that section. So no problems there. So you ready? I have already opened it, no crinkling. Look at those colors. Look at the spackling. It's like there's some blue and like a maroon and purple, and then the yarn itself has this very light lavender kind of color on it. So there's Fireweed Fiber Co. You hear me talk about her a lot. The Stormborn shawl I'm using her yarn for. She does amazing stuff. This year I have decided to get the 2 mini skein option, which is awesome that she does that, because you can do more things if you have a couple mini skeins, because you're basically getting, you know, another third of a skein. So that is super awesome. The main skein is 100 grams and each of the minis is 20. This is the 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, which is called Sweet Pea Sock. The prompt for this month is, do you love my insides? If I can find the inspiration picture, I will put it in somewhere here. And yeah, but this is her monthly yarn club. Also, her sock is so soft. I love, love, love this base. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with last year's or what I'm going to do with this year's, but I have options, so many options. We're going to move on to events. For the first event that is coming to a close fairly quickly, we're talking about the Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party. So I've participated in this year. I have participated in this for many years, and February 13th will be the close of this year's, which coincides closely with the Super Bowl. She usually gives us like an extra day to post our projects and stuff before it actually closes. So I have no idea what day the Super Bowl is actually on, but everything must be in by the 13th. So there's your warning if you're participating. I will link to her website with all of the details down below, but you basically get imaginary points based on a certain point system, and it's slightly related to football, but it's just a fun knit along, and then you get entered for prizes if you submit everything in the Google form. So linked down below. Next up is the Northern Knits Anniversary Make Along. I am entering my amethyst shawl in that one. They do an anniversary knit along based on how many years they've been podcasting together. This year is 6, so they go based off of like wedding anniversary prompts. So it was either iron, candy, amethyst, I think are the 3 main ones, and then dragons and unicorns are eternals, so they count for everything. So that is that one. That one goes until the end of March, so I have a while to work on that one. Next up is the Imagine Landscapes is hosting the Imagine Knitting Cal. Whew, that's a mouthful. This is basically something that you have been imagining knitting or something you've wanted in your wardrobe, anything like that from your queue, from your favorites, something you just dreamed up, some special yarn that you've been wanting to use, anything like that counts, and enter your prizes on there. I believe they have a Google form to enter your prizes, or maybe it's on the RAV group. I can't remember, but I will link to it down below so you can find out all the details too. I am entering my Stormborn shawl in this one. I have been wanting to knit that shawl out of that yarn for a while now, and it is happening. I think this one goes till sometime in March as well. If I don't finish it, I don't finish it. At least it is cast on and ready to go, and I will finish it eventually. The next knit along is the We Have Yarn for That. They are a YouTube channel, and it's 2 friends that talk about their knitting, and it's Rachel's birthday month. I believe January was her birthday month, but she wanted to finish up a lot of old projects, so I am entering my hinterland, which I started last year at this time, in that, and it is giving me the motivation to get it done. So that has to be done by the end of February in order to count for that. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. It is a goal. I want to make it because I want that sweater. I want that sweater so bad. I really want to wear it. I've also joined the February challenge. So this is a challenge on Instagram where you post a picture based on a prompt every day, and you can search that hashtag on Instagram to find out more information about that. There is also a February challenge Instagram account that has more details. So it's every year in February. There are 28 prompts, and it's just, you know, kind of a get to know you kind of situation. So you can just follow along, or you can post too. It's never too late to join in. So you can check those out on Instagram. Again, my account, if you want to look at those, is Rosberry Crafts. What else? Oh, that's what I wanted to. So this year, I am tracking my stash a little bit differently, and trying to keep track of everything in my Confessions of a Yarn Junkie book. This is a very cute book that I got as part of my Advent. So each page has like a little ball of yarn at the bottom. And in here, I am kind of keeping track of what projects I work on each week, and then what projects I work on for the month, and how much yarn I have coming in. The other thing that I am doing is I have my bingo card. So you can see I've crossed off quite a few projects already. No bingos yet, but it is early still. So as I finish projects, I will mark them off. This year, because I couldn't remember sometimes if I had entered a project on my bingo and may have entered it twice or whatever. So you can see, like, I'm writing below it what I have entered for that square. So, yep, but my bingo card is very generic this year, and I am enjoying it. It's a fun little thing just to see how close you can get to crossing all those boxes off. And to remind you, my knitting goals and my tracking for this year is that I want more out than in, have plans for incoming yarn and document it, and start projects from my queue. So those are the three things that I'm kind of focusing on this year. I definitely want to focus on using up some of this beautiful yarn that I have as well. So let's start with January's yarn in. I did get 2 skeins of the DK, 7 of the worsted, and the January Sock Club, as well as a special skein from Gauge Dye Works, which I will talk about more in a later episode. So that is a total of 2,766 meters that I brought in. So that's a lot. So we'll see how that worked out. So yarn out is just projects that I have completed, because I don't count it out of my stash until I've completed the project. So for yarn out, I have Mike's socks, I have the love note from my mother-in-law, my father-in-law's hat, my colorful geometry cowl, and my Advent hat. I think that's everything. Yeah, because the scrunchies I finished this month, so they don't count for January. So that is 2,086 meters. So I had more in than out, but I am working on the whole year. So I have set up my February so that I can track that information. And yeah, so you will see that more next month. Let's hope that I can catch up on those numbers. So I'll update you on where I am for the year, as well as where I am at the end of February then. The last thing for events, and I couldn't figure out where to put it. One of the other things that I have kind of personally is to keep my house more organized this year. I think I talked a little bit about how Mike and I are kind of going room to room and just making sure things are in the right place and tidied up, and just kind of keeping on top of that. Along with that, and I've got to reach way over to get it because it's kind of heavy and big, my storage for my knitting needles and my crochet hooks was driving me a little crazy. So I had one of those expanding filing plastic things where you get like the divisions. It is meant for paper. And the one drawback of it is that the bottom of the little plastic dividers did not connect with the bottom of the accordion bit. So if you had double points or crochet hooks, they just kind of fell down into the bottom. You hoped that they were kind of in the right spot, but more often than not, they were not. And then sometimes even the circular needles would get, sucked into a different one. So a friend of mine had posted her organization method, and I've been coveting it for a while. And I actually saw this, so you can get them at Michael's, and I actually got it from Amazon, which I know, they're both big box stores, so I don't feel that bad about it. If I could buy it from a scrapbooking store or a knitting store or something, that I would have totally bought it there. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that and show you. Oh, there's reflection from my lights, but ignore the reflection, and you can see I've labeled everything. So this is actually a photo organizer that's for the photos that are 4 by 6 inches. And I'm going to open it up. I'm going to try and balance it and open it up here. So you open it up, and then each little case kind of comes out. So I have it labeled on the top and then on the front, and it just opens like this. I'm not going to open it too much because everything's going to pop out. Oh, there we go. And then you can clip it closed. So it is very secure. Everything of that size is staying in there. Also, it's rainbow. It's very cool. And then you click it closed, and you can actually like pick it up and take it with you wherever you need to go, or just move it around my yarn room. Everything is contained in one space. I have my crochet hooks in there. I do have some straight needles that are a bit longer, and my flexi flips. I didn't want to bend them because they just have that little piece of plastic in the middle, and it was bending them too much to put them into that container. And I was worried about that little bit of plastic just being so bent for so long that it was going to stay kind of bent like that, which probably wouldn't be a bad thing. But anyway, so that is how I am now organizing my needles, and I can get rid of the filing thing. I'll probably give it to the kids so they can keep schoolwork in it and stuff, or find someone else who can use it. But that was a very fun project. Taylor helped me with that, and we sized up all the needles and put the labels on, and it was super fun. That is it for events, and we will move on to chatter. Well, I have been talking for a very long time, so I am going to make this chatter quick. There's not much going on in our lives other than the day-to-day stuff, such as work and taking children to activities. But I will talk about the books that I have read. I actually have finished 3 books this week. The first one is H is for Homicide by Sue Grafton. I listened to this one, and if you've been watching previous episodes, you will know that I am slowly going through these books, or maybe quickly going through these books. Not all of them are available at my library, so I might have to just stop at one point, but I would like to read all of them. And they're just something that's kind of been on my list forever. Yeah, I enjoy them a lot. They're a fun read. They keep me interested, and I am enjoying them. The other book that I finished is, no, wait, there's 2 more. I can't even read my own notes, guys. The next book that I finished is A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. I can never get his name right. Mike and I have been, Mike is my husband, we have been reading the Game of Thrones series. Basically, we sit down and read a chapter, and then we talk about it. We read them separately. We don't read it to each other or anything, but we do like to do that. It's a bit of a date thing, so we can just take half an hour and kind of sit down and read a chapter and talk about it, and often we compare it to the show, because who doesn't? So we have finished that book, and we have moved on to the next one. So because I finished that this year, it does count towards my list of 100 books for the year. And the other long-term read that I've had to get out of the library, I think 3 or 4 times, is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. And I think this is the Throne of Glass series. This book I found more difficult to read. It was not as engaging because I didn't care about the characters as much. The other books, I've really cared about the other characters more, so it kept me a little more engaged. But yeah, there was definitely some intrigue and some drama and some fights and stuff like that, so definitely worth a read. I think also because it was 6 to 8 weeks when I went back to the library and I put it on hold again. That time frame really slows me down. It just makes me feel like, I gotta read this book because it's gonna go back to the library. And when I'm forced to read like that, I just don't enjoy it. But I have finished that book now, and I'm gonna take a break and read some other books that I am currently enjoying, and then go back to that series at a later date. So those are the 3 books that I have finished this week. What else has been going on? Cooper has been enjoying his robotics club, and they actually have a competition this weekend, another practice competition, and then the weekend after is regionals. I volunteered to help at the competition, and I have been chosen as an adjudicator. So, well, I'm going to learn a lot more about this competition and how it works. I have some reading to do this weekend for that. And the other thing that was super fun and a little bit crafty was the kids had a crazy hair day at school. I will put in a couple pictures of their hair. Cooper's hair is getting fairly long, so we just did some crazy ponytails for him. And Taylor wanted an octopus in her hair. So that is that. Googly eyes and all. So that is everything. I'm just looking around. Yep, that is everything that I have for this week. I hope you have had a great week, and if you liked this video, please like and subscribe to my channel so you can see any new videos that I'm putting out. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.